Hello and welcome to Coffee and Bonsai with Tom. Today we are going to tune up one of my Frank Yee cork barks. And these are just amazing trees. And so stay tuned for that. And then also I have some very exciting news about cork bark PAs in general, which I will tell you all about in this video. But first, let's take a close-up look at the bark on this tree. I always like to show this off because, if you're not familiar with these cork barks, they're just beautiful. I mean, look at that barking. It's nice and, kind of rippled, and it just looks old. And to me, it always looks like a crab apple. In fact, I call this my crab apple dwarf jade. And you might say, hey, it doesn't need pruning at all. It looks great. And I can't really argue with that, although it is getting a bit long. And so I don't want to do anything too major to it. You can see I've got some branches that are getting quite long. And I'm not even sure I'm going to correct that today. As I look at this, I kind of think many of the branches are too long in general, but I'm not going to deal with that today. I'm just going to cut it back and try to get more compact growth and just give it a tune-up. So I'll start with the top, which I actually pruned this recently, as a matter of fact, not too long ago, because what I find with these cork barks is you really have to reduce the top much more often than the rest of the tree, because it really just grows and will very quickly overly get too thick, and then you kind of get bulges up there. So you're constantly working on the top to prevent it from becoming overgrown, at least in my experience. And a good way to combat that is, to make sure that it's going from 1 to 2, right? Because it will really just branch out tremendously up there. And as long as you keep reducing it and creating some space and some air, it will tend to lengthen more than overly thicken, and it'll sort of stay in keeping with the rest of the tree. So I think pretty close here in the top and getting it thinned out to about where I want it. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. I don't want to overdo it. I still want the tree to be presentable when I'm done. And I think I'll take that branch off that's sticking way out the back, and just kind of cut it down to the bare minimum, and that's actually quite charming. It looks a bit more manicured for sure. This branch here, this is one of the ones that I think is a bit long, but I'll start by just cutting it back, and what I really am hoping that eventually I will get some decent back budding without having to do a Hail Mary cut closer into the trunk, and then I'll just reduce to that and regrow it out. But for now, I'm just going to kind of heavily reduce it here, and encourage it to do that. Just kind of taking the leaves off, maybe shortening this a bit. We'll sort of see, because it's quite long. I could actually pull it down, which I've thought about several times as well, but I think just in keeping with the tree, it just needs to be shorter. So I think my strategy of continuing to hack it back until I get some interesting growth right in about where my thumb is that kind of branches out, I think is what I will end up doing long term with this branch. So we'll probably come back to that, but let's look at this back branch. It's getting quite shaggy. You can see it's really grown quite a bit, and I'll just take off the upward growth and just kind of neaten it up a bit. And I think that's a bit better. And I may actually take some of this inside growth off and this downward growth and thin this out and just get some more branching. I may actually just shorten this even more. It's kind of, let me just reduce this a bit. It almost seems like it's sort of competing with the other branch and also out the back. And, it's got kind of some nice movement to it. And so I may just let it grow for a bit longer, and we'll see what happens. You can see here if I sort of pull this down a little, like it's a little long now, and that is out the back. So I may do that. I don't have any wire on me here. And I can always wire it down, and if I don't like it, eventually cut it back. So we'll see. But I'm not completely happy with that as it is, but I think it's okay for now. And I think this one is just bothering me. I'm just going to take it back. And you see we've got some leaves there. We get some nice lower down branching, which I think will be, I don't know, much more compatible with the other branches that I have. And so I think that's pretty good for the back. And so now I'm just left with this branch off to the right, which also, you know, you can sort of see it comes up and then it kind of comes out almost like a secondary trunk and then sweeps out. Oh, here, you can't see it. Well, I'll spin it around here in a minute. And it doesn't bother me that much. I think eventually, you know, again, if I get some branching down there lower, I will probably reduce this and regrow the branch. But for now, I'll just kind of thin it out and take it back to basics. So you've waited long enough. I'll let you in on some of my news. It's actually two bits of information. One is, if you're on Facebook, there's an amazing Facebook group called the Portulacaria Afra Dwarf Jade Bonsai Study Group. And I would recommend going and joining that group. I mean, there's, you know, you have to sort of say you want to join, and I'll just clean this up. I think we're pretty much done. I think this really looks much better than when we started. And, you know, they'll approve you, and then you're in there. I'm in there. I do a lot of lurking. I don't post too much. But I think it's a fabulous group, and there's a lot of cool stuff going on there. And so I recommend that. But the exciting bit of news that I want to share, which I found out by being a member of that group, is there's an individual in, and this is related to Frank Yee Cork barks. He basically bought up Frank's entire stock of, I don't know, some 400 cork barks. And I give his name here. His first name's Ryan. I'm not going to give his last name because I don't know if he's okay with that or not. But anyway, his goal, he's in Chicago, and he has a greenhouse there, and he is going to raise these things and, you know, sell them and really dedicate himself to making these things more available for everybody, which is just fabulous. I mean, this is so exciting. I mean, Frank Yee's been doing that. I think he sells them mostly at meets and stuff. So so you sort of have to be in the California area. And I know Eastern Leaf sells some. I have one cork bark that I bought from there, and I'm not sure if they're Frank Yee or not. Mine has yet to cork, although it is coming on now. So anyway, it's an exciting information in the Frank Yee Cork bark Dwarf Jade world, and I am very, very much looking forward and wish Ryan the absolute best in his business, and can't wait until I can acquire one of his trees. So coming back down to earth here, I'm just kind of finishing this up. We're pretty much done. I probably should have quit a while ago, but I always go a little too far. And just doing some minor tune-up, but this one is pretty much done. And I'll give it a final few nips and tucks here, and then we'll do our victory lap. But, you know, this is just one of my favorite trees. And it's actually one of your favorite trees, too. I get a lot of questions about this, and people want to know how old it is. And, you know, I honestly don't know. It's hard to predict these. I think most of these trees come from cuttings, and then they were regrown. And so what do you consider the age to be? And, you know, it's not like you can count rings to the best of my knowledge. If anyone knows how to know the age of a cork bark more accurately, please comment and let me know. But yeah, we're kind of finishing this one up, and we will do a quick victory lap. And yeah, you know, we're kind of getting on to going down the backside of summer here. And so this guy, I'm just going to let it grow wild and then bring it in for the winter. And we'll probably next see it when I do some pruning, I don't know, in the late fall. You can see the side, and we go around the back. And yeah, I think we've done some great work here. And as usual, I thank you for spending time with me. And I look forward to seeing you all again very, very soon. And please like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. You know, let me know. Give me some positive encouragement to keep putting these videos out. And And with that, enjoy the rest of your summer. And, you know, see you next time.